Reverse racism. Wow.
Reverse racism is pretty mad. Yeah, I don't, it's hard to know what to kind of say about that.
I don't engage with such ignorance. I just don't. I shut it down.
It's stupid. It doesn't exist. It's not real. And I don't even want to really give it any thought.
For people to say that, to even assume that jobs are being taken away from our white counterparts is ridiculous.
If you are so easily claiming your reverse racism, you have no understanding of racism in the first place.
I think reverse racism doesn't exist because racism is about power and it's about dominance.
It completely ignores the fundamental question of who holds the power. White people essentially socially, politically hold the power over people of colour, other people who are non-white.
I think in this argument of a lot of white people feel that we are taking opportunities from them, I would say you're wrong, because there hasn't been many opportunities for us for a long time. And it comes back to this thing of being black and British, this idea that we are here and we're not seen and we're taking things from you, and people come over and they steal our jobs and we're not, it's coming back to that. You're doing an element of that by saying that we are taking work from you. And what is really sad about that is that you cannot see that by you saying that to other black people or other minorities is that you are being part of the problem. By saying that you're taking a job for me instead of supporting us is part of the problem.
I feel in the conversation that black people are having more opportunities in this industry and white people feeling like they're having less as a result of that, I think that is pure and simple a case of people who've not been oppressed, just sort of feeling a change in winds. Oh, what was there's a beautiful sentence, a beautiful statement that equality can feel like oppression to someone who's always had power. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I think that is. I remember having a friend of mine, but someone I went to drama school with, and I saw her in an audition last year, and she went, "Oh my God, you're doing well." And I was like, "Oh, well, She goes, "Yeah, I'm not working as much because, I'm white." So
my friend called me up one day and he went, "Oh man, this is really good for you, isn't it? I mean, you've done so well. You're doing back-to-back jobs, Must be easy now being black." I went, "What do you mean?" "Oh yeah, it's kind of like my agent said to me, if you're not black, then there's nothing for you."
I said, "Who told you you're not working because you're white?" And she said, "Well, my agent is just saying that, because I'm white, there's not as much work for us." I'm like, that is a lie from the pit of hell. That is a thing that your agent is hiding behind because you're not working. You know what I mean? When I was having bad years, I was just like, well, this is the season we go through.
I did a casting once actually, and it was quite funny because they were looking for a South African woman. Did they say South African or just said an African woman? And they wanted the accent and everything. So I did it, and they were like, oh, it was so difficult. In the end, we decided to go another way. And I know what that means. That other way meant you didn't choose the other black actor. You didn't. You went white for that role. You decided to change the role.
When it comes to black people, we are still, even with this surge and this renaissance and all of this stuff, we are still not working and having the opportunities to be seen for things in the same way as our white counterparts. We are still going up for parts that are specifically about being black. It's very rare that I can go into an audition and just be a human. It's like, oh, she's the black best friend, or she's the black this, or she's the black that, or so yeah, there's stuff happening, but my work me getting work is never going to take away from white people getting work in the stage that we are now, because they're two different worlds. Like, they're just two different worlds. We're never going up for the same thing. So that whole, oh, well, there's more black stuff, so there's less white stuff. Nah, white is the default in this industry. So you just, you know, that's what it is.
This is the problem. People look at equality as a cake. So if I've got a cake and I cut it in half and I give half the cake to somebody else, that I magically have no more cake. I do have cake, I have half a cake. And really, do I need a whole cake? That's the question. They don't need the whole industry, okay? In actual fact, when you have a cake, it's to be shared with everybody. You cut it in sections and you give it around, and everybody has some cake, and we all get to marvel at how beautiful tasting this cake is, and hats off to the baker. That's the industry. It's creative arts. So if we all take part in the creative arts and we all enjoy and we make all this wonderful art together, then kudos to the creative arts. It's not very creative if it's only one set of people doing it.
I feel like as an artist, sometimes cultural organisations pick like one person and shine loads of light on them, and it makes you feel like you need to work harder because they've got this chosen person, all this chosen group of people that they're promoting or sponsoring or doing whatever, and you instantly feel competitive. It makes you feel like, how can I get there? What do I need to do? And then you feel like a certain sort of resentment. But in my head, I realize that that is like a trick. It feels like crabs in the barrel. Like they'll fight against themselves, and then whoever is the survivor will pick that person. And this kind of illusion that there could only be one. And I don't know about other communities, but it happens in black communities so much. This big organisation chooses this person or says this group of people are important or should be highlighted, and then everybody else feels away. And just kind of like deconstructing that lie of like needing to work constantly or needing to like promote myself constantly is just rubbish. And it actually feels quite like a tool of white supremacy. It does, because it divides your community and it divides you as peers and as women. Like, why do I need to compete over everybody? We're all different. That's the truth. But the system makes you feel like you're all the same and there's only one shot.
There is a thing where people see people doing well and go, well, the work is done. What more do you want? And I just feel like that all goes back to the kind of, people feel like it's ticking a box. It feels like, you know, we've let one person or a couple of people through the door. Great, we've solved diversity. If you have that as your mindset, then it kind of suggests to me that you're not the right person to be in a position of power or a gatekeeper, because it has to be a constant flow of talent. It has to be. It's not acceptable just to have a kind of a door that has room for one or two people at any given moment, and also that's purely a thing of visibility as well. It's not just about visibility. It's people in front of the camera. It's people behind the camera. It's people in those positions that maybe some people are in.
You know, and I just think people, and I'll call it like it is, some white people are uncomfortable with that because they feel threatened because they've been holding these positions for so long. And I take issue on board members that have been board members for like 10 years or 15 years or something, and you've got that times 5, times 10 on one board. I have issue with that. That's what I have issue with, because it's like, where are the new perspectives and the new faces?
To keep everything to yourself, it takes away the fun. It's like having a great toy that you're playing with all the time and it's boring on your own. Well, that's what we feel like when we're watching the same people over and over and over and over again. It becomes uninteresting, okay? So the industry, if we start halving it up into quarters and everybody getting to do it, then I get to join Asian you know, seeing an Asian person take on a role that, you know, and then you see a black person take on that role. And sometimes it's the same role, but then lots of different ethnicities take it on. And it's like, oh, it's so interesting how they all brought different things to it. See how that works? It works. What you're thinking of is capitalist, it's selfish, and it's gone on for too long. And instead of recognizing the fundamental flaws in that and destroying the art in itself, which is what will happen, people just become uninterested. Start opening it up, making it a little bit more interesting. Everybody gets to enjoy it. Everyone gets to partake, and we have something.
Ultimately, people like being in positions of power. And I think what we need to see more in the industry is collaboration and cooperation outside of like your little pockets and little satellites and spheres. Otherwise, like, true art is not going to be provoked, or we're not going to really break out of the mold that we see time and time again.
What more I want is everything. Okay? So black people are doing well, but there's still more to go. There's still more spaces that need to be broken through. Just because Joe is doing well doesn't mean that that's enough, doesn't mean that it's finished. Just because he or she is doing well, there's more that can be done. So the idea that you would say that to a white actor, white actors are doing well, what more do you want? It's like, it's complete fallacy, it's ridiculous. So I want more, and I want everything, as I'm sure everyone else does. And the idea that I'm saying that if that causes a sense of controversy, it's ludicrous. Because we all want it, we all deserve it, we all work hard for it. We want to be credited for the work that we do. That isn't too much to ask.
We want to be running the shows, right? We want to be telling the stories without someone looking over our shoulders. We want to be given, we want risks to be taken on someone who's only done one short film on a really shoestring budget. We want to be given, we want to be in these script rooms where you've only done a little piece, but it's gone down really well on online. I think that's what the success will be, is when we can just work. And we can just create without having to jump through hoops, when someone's not kind of trying to monitor you constantly. Like, so what have you done and why are you here? And like, they start asking the questions, the credential questions. I think that's when, that's always an alarm for me. We want to just create without boundary.
I think that all of the work that has been done thus far is credible and is so important within the growth of where we're trying to get to. Bearing in mind, we don't even know where we're trying to get to in terms of seeing ourselves within theatre, within art. Art is supposed to be a reflection of society. And if we're still at a point where our people cannot see themselves within art, then there's still work to be done. We have not yet reached a point where every representation of us is speaking to us directly, that we can now say that the work is done. We look at the ratio of our audiences within theatre. We'll be in our whole black show, and you'll see 2 black people in the audience out of 2,000. If the work that we're doing is not reaching our audience, our black audience, who it's supposed to be reflecting, then the work is never done. Because art isn't for the artist, it's for society.
I think if you don't acknowledge your privilege, you will feel away. For sure, like, we're losing power. You are, like, no, that's the reality of it. Like, racial equity, you are losing power, but if you don't believe in equity, then you'll always feel away. So it's a part of me, it's like, for those people, I'm not even, not actually interested in having a conversation, because there's like really like foundational work and an acknowledgement of your privilege that you have to do before we even get to that conversation.
I think if people are worried about their status or their positions, they have to think about how it is that they got there. And I'm not saying that everybody got there through nepotism, but a lot of people did. A lot of people got there through the privilege that is afforded to them as a white middle class person who sounds right and looks right and who was believed in, even if maybe they didn't have all of the experience that was necessary for them to do that job, because the person who they were talking to felt that they would get there somehow, you know. So I think you can't have a problem with affirmative action if you don't have a problem with nepotism and you don't have a problem with cronyism.
As long as your heart is like, I'm taking power away from you and I'm gonna be like really powerful. It's not about that. It's that we can all be powerful, all of us, shared power. Not one person more powerful than the other, which is shared power. That's all people want.